We are here today to reflect on the profound insights that Street Bridget of Sweden, one of the greatest mystics in the history of the Church, was given from above. These visions provide insight into the afterlife and the judgment that the soul must face before God. They were given to us by the kindness and mercy of Jesus and Mary. Street Bridget offers a detailed vision of a soul's judgment. Imagine, dear ones, that you stand before the throne of God with a soul as feeble as a heart. A demon is chasing after the soul. The devil says to the supreme judge, "This is the prey. We followed that spirit throughout its life, together with your guardian angel. I'll damage it, and he'll guard it. Though we were both going after it with everything we had, in the end, it fell into my lap. I want to own it with all of my might, like a torrent that has only a small spout standing in its way." Why did it fall into your hands? The devil is questioned by the holy judge, who is actually God. Why? Because its sins were more numerous than its good works, the demon replies. The judge commands the demon to disclose the sins of the soul. The sinful literature of the devil is called disobedience. This book contains examples of each of the 7 deadly sins: lust, gluttony, envy, avarice, sloth, and wrath. Each chapter contains 3 columns that list the exact sins that the soul has committed. The first chapter, Pride, illustrates the pride that the soul had in its spiritual life. It thought it was superior to all others. When the soul boasts about its existence, it is represented by the first column, which is a sense of spiritual superiority. It also boasted of having an enlightened conscience and exceptional intelligence. The boasting of the soul about its belongings, servants, clothes, and other items, is depicted in the second column. The third column said that the soul was quite proud of its achievements, good looks, and moral background. The second chapter, Gluttony, describes how the soul wanted more than it required and only gave a damn about praising its own name and pedigree. From a spiritual perspective, the first column shows that the soul did not think its sins were as severe as they were taught, which is why it desired for God's kingdom unworthily. The soul had excessive worldly wants and was only interested in extolling its own name and lineage, as the second column shows. We can observe the soul's desire for social validation and supremacy in the third column. The soul's damaging thoughts and advice, as described in Chapter 3, envy, were born out of its secret envy of those who were wealthier than it. The first column discusses the intellect and shows how the spirit harbored resentment toward others who had greater luck. The second column illustrates how the soul jealously seized the belongings of the less fortunate. The third column explains how a jealous soul can harm others covertly through advice and overtly through words and deeds. The fourth chapter, Avarice, describes how the spirit was egotistical and hesitant to part with its knowledge and belongings. The selfish mentality depicted in the first column is when the spirit withheld its knowledge out of concern that it might cause others suffering or financial gain. The second column asserts that although the soul might have reconciled disparate groups, it opted not to and showed no empathy for those who were suffering. The third column depicts its appetite. If it had to give up anything in the cause of God, it would have been burdened and tormented. The fifth chapter, Laziness, tells us that the spirit was devoid of desire to ponder spiritually, pray, or perform good things. Laziness in works, which is characterized as a lack of diligence in carrying out what is right in God's view, was discussed in the first column. Insinuating shame into the heart while remaining ethereal, the second column explores the issue of slothful thought. The third column offers guidance on how to speak and pray in a way that honors God and is beneficial to others without becoming apathetic. Chapter 6, Wrath, explains how the anger of the soul causes harm to other people. The first column details the soul's indignation for anything that did not serve its purpose. As the second column demonstrates, other people were harmed by the soul's wrath. The third column goes into depth about how the spirit's presence unnerved those nearby. Finally, in Lust, Chapter 7, we saw how the soul caved in to earthly pleasures and sensuous desires. We read about the soul's disorganized and excessively spread seed in the first column. The second column shows how others sinned as a result of the soul's offensive comments. The third column goes into detail on how the soul created many delicious treats for the body in addition to its careful feeding. Darling, we see the soul doomed for its sins in this terrible vision. We shouldn't give up while there is yet hope. The Mother of Mercy, Mary intervenes when Satan tries to seize control of a person's soul. She approaches the judge's bench and says, "My son, I want to talk about justice with this demon." Jesus extends an unending gesture of charity by giving his mother the opportunity to speak. "Tell me, what can erase what is written in your book?" Mary queries Satan. God's charity is the only thing that can erase it, the devil claims. Greetings, brothers and sisters. Charity is God's love that triumphs over sin. Mary continues her interrogation of the demon, asking if there has ever been a person so terrible that they are unable to repent while still living. The demon admits that anyone can repent if they truly want to. This shows us, my dear ones, that anyone can find God's kindness at any time if they sincerely seek it out. The soul whispered, "You are the mother of mercy, and have pity on the wretched," confessing its sins and begging for forgiveness as it went away, revealing to all in the vicinity of the Virgin Mary that it had turned and asked for her help. Finally, the exasperated demon says, "I didn't know anything about this, but if it's true, you need to prove it." Mary contends that even if the demon was not conscious of such thoughts, God's grace is enough to erase every sin that the demon has ever committed. Then the judge gives the demon instructions to examine if everything is still written in its book, or if anything has been erased. The devil is shocked to discover that not much remains after most things have been destroyed. The judge asks the present heavenly being, "Where are the good works of this soul?" In these words, the angel answers, "Lord, everything present, past, and future is in your foreknowledge and knowledge. We see and comprehend all in you and you in us." The angel presents a record of the soul's good works, such as baptism, penance, prayer, hope, faith, and God's charity. The judge asks the present heavenly being, "Where are the good works of this soul?" In these words, the angel answers, "Lord, everything, present, past, and future, is in your foreknowledge and knowledge. We see and comprehend all in you and you in us." The angel presents a record of the soul's good works, such as baptism, penance, prayer, hope, faith, and God's charity.